Hi guys, welcome back. Nick Reeves here. Welcome back to my channel. Today in this video, we're looking at something that's fairly old technology now for model aircraft, hot wire foam cutting. It's something that I've been involved with one way or another. I've built aeroplanes with foam beaded wings. I've cut wings with other people, but I've never actually done it myself in my own workshop. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a lump of wood, or a few lumps of wood, and I'm going to make myself a hot wire bow to do the cutting, and then I will over a period of time go through the stages of producing templates, cutting the foam, etc. The end goal is sneaky peek. I'm planning on doing my own flying wing. I've got all the CAD drawings for it. I've been spending a long time playing around with them sizes and whatnot. But I'm planning 48-inch span foam wing, with the option of being electric or IC. But to get there, I need to experiment with cutting my own wings. I think ultimately it's going to be EPP, but initially I'm just going to be doing it out of EPS, expanded polystyrene. So, bow. Hot wire bow, basically a wire and somewhere carrying that. That is done with a bow, and then it's going to have tension on it because when the wire heats up it expands. So we need to create like an H shape. I've just got some pine from a local hardware shed here in the UK. Sounds like me and you. Others are available. So I'm going to create something that's sort of H shape. One end is going to be fixed, so it can't move like that. The other end is going to be able to move like that on a pivot, so that I can put tension on what is now the lower side, so that as the wire expands, it'll stretch out. It's only going to be a small amount, but it would be enough for it to stretch out. So what I need to do, I've already decided that's going to be enough depth for the bow, if that makes sense. Again, I don't know how well you'll be able to see. This will be big enough for me to handle single-handed. Between my hands just now is about a metre, just over 900mm long. It's a handy size. I'll easily be able to do 24-inch, 30-inch panels, which will be big enough. So the first thing I'm going to do is make some support plates to support this joint here. Out of the scrap box I've got some 1/4 birch ply. I've marked off a piece that's the right width, so I'm just going to run this through the bandsaw, so I get a strip. I'm going to cut it into 4, so I've got 2 for this end, which will be glued, quite possibly screwed as well, and then I've got another 2 which will be glued and screwed to the central piece at this end, but on a pivot bolt at the other end. So I'll cut this and come back to you. Okay, so 1 strip of ply cut. Now I'm going to divide this up into 4. So what have we got? We're going to want a little bit longer on that end. Let's make this easy. 14, 7. So we'll take that to 14 there and 7 there. What's that going to leave? That's going to leave 17, 8.5. Okay. Obviously this isn't a structural thing, these are just supports, and to be honest I'm probably over engineering this whole thing. If you're watching this on YouTube, put into the search at the top, once you finish watching this video, go into YouTube, search for hot wire cutting, or hot wire cutting bow. There are so many different ways of doing this. This is just the way I'm doing it, having seen a lot of different methods and bows, and how I want to make my bow, or my first bow. I'm going to probably end up making a smaller one as well for doing smaller cuts. So that's that strip marked up. I'm just going to cut this on the bandsaw again, and I'll be back in just a second. Okay, so now got our 4 pieces, 2 shorter, 2 longer. I'm going to concentrate initially on the fixed end. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this because I'm working so far away. So all I'm going to do is have these mounted like that, glue it in place. I might well see if I can find some small screws, which I've got loads of knocking around. Yeah. What I might also do, just while I'm here, before I glue and screw these on, is take all the rough edges off one, like the top surface where it's going to be in place. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take these legs and actually take a bit off the end. See if I can show you what I mean. Just draw it on here. Just to thin down the end of the leg a little bit. So that's the leg, and if you can see, you might be able to see there, might not. That's the bit I'm going to cut off, just to thin down the end, to make it a bit easier to get the wire around the end. I can also shape it a bit more once it's done. So I'll do the same with both of them. I'll cut one, and then draw it onto the other one, and cut the other. So I'm going to sand these blocks. Once I've got this end done, I can then work on the other end. What I shall do is, I think I've got some bolts. I bought some bolts for this. Yeah, I've got some down here. I'm drill an M8 hole, clamp it together, drill an M8 hole all the way through, so we've got them lined up. I'll then get the cut leg, drill an M8 hole in that where I want it, right in the centre, bolt it together, and then glue the assembly onto the end. So it's all lined up and it'll all pivot nicely, so on and so forth. I can then, what I'm going to have is about 3/16, 5mm gap between the end of the leg and where the horizontal beam comes in. That'll give it enough, should give it enough movement for tension. So put the wire on when it's fully that way, and then the tension will pull it and it will expand out. That's the theory anyway. I can obviously, in my head I can already see how I can modify that to give me more movement, but hopefully it won't come to that. So I shall crack on, get these bits cut and sanded and made up, and I shall come back to you once I've got some bits ready to go together. Okay, so first end sanded as much as I want to go. Drill some holes. Again, I don't know how well you'll be able to see because of the light. Drill some holes, done a little bit of a countersink on them. So what I'm going to do now is glue and screw them in place. Certainly on this end, onto there, and see how we get on. So I don't need to, gluing and screws just belts and braces, it's not going over the top. It is only a hot wire bow, but I want it to last. So I've got some little 3x16 screws, which should be more than adequate. One. Two. So that first one there, glued on. what I'm going to do is also put this leg in. Just now I've drawn them up so that these mounting points are going to be in the same point on both legs. If that makes sense. So there's a little spot of glue there. Get it all in nicely. Nice and tight up. Okay, so that is one side of the joint made up. I've now just got to do exactly the same on that side. Should be simple as, hold on, I need to make sure these aren't going to foul. So I'm going to have to move ever so slightly down, which isn't a problem. Put a pen mark where it's going to be. Splodge of glue. First two screws into the horizontal member. You always know you've got enough glue in the place when it comes squidging out everywhere on the sides. As long as you wipe it all down afterwards, you should get a nice joint. Lovely. Right, give us a wipe down. Just to take off all the excess glue, hide it under the bench as I always do. Lovely. So, we now have plated joint both sides and even already. That's nice and strong. That isn't going anywhere. Next task is to kind of do the same the other end, where it screws onto the horizontal member, but I need to drill a hole on the matching pair so that when the plates are inside that leg, they can move relative to the plates once they're screwed in. But again, I'll come back to you in a bit once I'm at that stage. Right then guys, the bow is near enough structurally finished. As I showed you before, this end it's fixed solid, whereas this end is on a pivot. The nut isn't, the washer isn't on the back yet, but the pivot's there. So you've got a fair bit of movement. If I stand back, what we're going to do, we're going to have tension between the top here and the other side. So I'll set it up to the wires like that, and put tension on it, it's going to pull it and stretch the wire. I've also got to figure out the power supply for it, which I've got ideas for. I'm also, the power supply, I know how to do the power supply. I've just got to figure it out as such. A couple of bits and pieces I've got to get. Got to get an operational switch. What you don't want is to be able to just plug it in and be live straight away, that is in the wire hot. So I want to be able to have a switch on here somewhere that I can comfortably, I'm not sure where yet, possibly here somewhere. So the switch I can press, it's live, do the cut, let go of the switch, and it cools the wire off. I also need to be able to have a control of how much power is going through the bow. Again, I know how I'm going to do that. I just need to get the bits and pieces for it. But that, as it stands just now, is the bow structurally complete. Obviously there's bits and pieces more I've got to do. I'll do that in the next video of the hot wire cutting. I'll probably do this as a playlist once I do the videos. So you can see the whole process of cutting wings, trials and tribulations of cutting wings. But for now, I'll call it a day on this video. If you're liking what you're seeing, give us a subscribe down the bottom here, tick the bell, get notifications when the new videos are put up. Also on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Again, links are below. There won't be many other links on this because it's all just raw timber that I've got from B&Q or some other favourite hardware supply shop. Yeah, it should be a good thing to have. I'm going to let this all dry. I will also, I'm going to give this a nice sand down. I'm probably going to give this a spray of lacquer as well, just to seal it and protect it a bit more. But that might well come later on when I know everything's fine and I'm happy with it. Yeah, hopefully this is useful to people. And we'll continue on in the next video in this series once I've got a few more bits and pieces. So until then, I'll catch you later. Right then, so here it is, just about structurally finished. Don't know how well you can see it. There we go. So we've got the main woodwork structure of the bow. This end, as I'm holding it, is fixed, solid. It's got the ply bracings. It's all glued and screwed. This end, it's got a pivot bolt so that it can move very slightly. I doubt you'll be able to see it in the camera that well, but there is a wire. This is nichrome wire fitted at the bottom. I think I said before previously in the previous videos, as this wire heats up, it expands. So across the top here, we've got a bungee under tension. When it's not in use, one side of the bungee is going to get taken off and put through this hole here, just so it takes the tension off the wire, but it doesn't make it go slack. It's still got a bit of tension on it. It just means the bungee itself isn't under tension all the time and doesn't lose its elasticity. There's wiring installed to the wire, so the wire comes around the end of the leg up to this bolt, and then the electrical wire is connected on. That's running down the bow. I haven't quite decided yet how I'm going to control the wire, the heat of the wire, the power going through the wire. I've got a controller coming for it, which runs off 12 volt, and then the controller varies the current to the wire, so that's fine, but it's the switching of it. Obviously I don't want this to be plug in and it's live straight away. I'm going to have some sort of switch on the bow itself. I've ordered just a lever operated micro switch, which I was planning on having mounted somewhere near the end where I'm going to be holding the bow when I'm using it. But I don't know whether or not to use that or a rocker switch of some sort, or like a toggle switch. My idea being, with the lever micro switch, as soon as I let go of it, it's dead. Whereas I could, with a rocker switch, leave it on. So I'd rather have almost like a dead man's handle. You know, it's as soon as you let go of it, it's not live anymore. It cools down. So what I'll probably do is use the micro switch first, see how I get on, and if I get bad cuts because I keep on letting go of it or something like that, I then might well change it to a rocker switch or a toggle switch. So that is where I am just now with this bow. Next part of the video, which will probably be in quite a while now, we'll be looking at this processes and steps to actually making a wing. The first part of that will be testing and making sure we've got the right temperatures for cutting the foam with this bow. So it'll be testing the bow itself. and then we'll be looking at making up templates for cutting the wing, and then actually doing the cuts. And I suspect there'll be a video towards the end of that series of actually skinning the wing, because what I intend to do, certainly with the first wings I'm doing, is skinning them with balsa. And there's two ways of doing that, which I will probably both be experimenting with. One is with a contact adhesive, Copydex, which I happen to have a little tub of here, but for doing wings you need a lot of it, so I'm probably going to buy a big 5-litre gallon tub. And the other method is using epoxy resin to bond the skins on. Both work equally well. I've got somewhere on the wing rack over there, I've got a test wing which I made. I had a friend of mine, or with me helping, a friend of mine cut me a set of cores, foam cores, just purely for experimenting with. So they were skinned up different ways, and they've been glassed in different ways, and they've been painted in different ways, just for testing out different principles and methods. So I'll probably do that sort of thing again. Lots of testing, lots of experimenting, and then actually make the item I want to make. So yeah, look out for those videos. They will be coming, but probably not just yet. I've got a lot of other projects on the go first. With foam cutting you need quite a big area as well. So this area behind me is going to have to be cleared, because if nothing else, when I'm cutting, this area here is going to, I think, going to be too high for me to hold the bow and do accurate work here. I think it's just going to be the wrong height, so I think it needs to be lower down, so I've got the bow sort of down here somewhere. But yeah, that's what's going to be coming, so keep an eye out for that. If you've liked this sort of instructional build type video, give us a comment at the bottom. Also remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell, so a notification thing, I think it's down this side here, so that when I put a new video up you get notified about it. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, and the other one, Instagram. Again, there's links below to all of those. Do the liking and sharing and whatever it is you do with those ones. I'm not up on the Instagram, to be honest. It's not one that I use a lot, but it all gets posted on there anyway. And yeah, until I get round to actually getting some foam and other bits and pieces, I'll catch you again next time.